Hi, Nuan the Movie Slinger here with a review of Venom. Now, I haven't read the Venom comics, but I've always thought that Venom is one of the coolest characters in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Now, I've been really excited to watch this movie, especially since Tom Hardy was attached in the main role. There's a lot of talk going on about this movie. The reviews just came out and it doesn't look very positive.
Rotten Tomatoes sucks.
Okay, you gotta calm down. It's not their
The
fault.
way we see it, we can review this the way we want.
Okay, but you had to promise that we're gonna be honest about bad movies. Okay?
Okay, got it.
Okay. So here's our review
We
of...
are Movie Slinger. Okay, sorry, I interrupted.
Just start the review. Just start the review.
My bad, sorry.
Venom is directed by Ruben Fleischer and stars Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, and Riz Ahmed. The story goes like this. There's a bioengineering company called the Life Foundation. Their CEO, Carlton Drake, played by Riz Ahmed, is obsessed with figuring out a way for humans to colonize and survive on other planets. So they send out this space exploration mission which finds a meteor that contains the alien symbiote. Drake believes the symbiote is the key for humans to evolve and survive outside Earth, so they start experimenting on human test subjects. One of the scientists that work for Drake has a change of heart. She decides to call Eddie Brock to expose Drake's illegal experiments. While breaking into the Life Foundation labs, Eddie is infected by the Venom symbiote. Drake is now trying to cover up everything and he sends his people to retrieve Eddie. Also, Eddie is very important since he is one of the few people that can successfully bond with the symbiotes. This little story summary I just gave, I wish that was the first act, I really do. If it was, this movie could have been a lot better. But the first 20 to 25 minutes of this movie, everything until Eddie gets infected, is a dull and very boring setup. Now, I like a good setup if there's payoff later on. None of the stuff they set up has a payoff. They try to build up some kind of rivalry between Eddie and Drake, but it doesn't go anywhere. It never becomes a personal fight, and it's not a conflict of ideologies. Eddie thinks Drake is a bad guy, he accuses him of being a bad guy, and then he turns out to be a bad guy. They also show how Eddie's relationship falls apart with his girlfriend Anne, played by Michelle Williams, but that relationship is not exactly part of any character arc and there's no resolution to this. So if the filmmakers don't know what to do with this relationship, why bother with all the setup? Just start the movie with the breakup having already happened. The way they break up is just plain stupid too. Eddie is supposed to be this cool investigative reporter, but he certainly doesn't act like one. And he did something so stupid, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? Anne was right to leave you. You can't expect the audience to like the main character if he's not good at what he says he's good at. I also didn't really buy Tom Hardy as a journalist. It's not his performance, but he has some terrible dialogue and makes questionable choices. There's also a lot of weird attempts at humor. I chuckled a few times, but not as much as the movie wanted me to. If the movie had continued like this, I would have told you straight away to avoid it. But after this very awkward 20 to 25 minutes, it actually becomes quite entertaining. So Eddie is infected and Venom starts talking to him. This thing, this disembodied voice, has more personality than any of the live action characters in this movie. The dialogue between Eddie and Venom is really funny. They have very good chemistry together. Venom likes to eat stuff and Eddie has a very difficult time trying to control him. This conflict is very interesting to watch and Eddie goes out of control at times with hilarious consequences. My only problem is that at a certain point, Venom changes. He does a complete 180 and I'm sitting there thinking, did I miss something? What made you change your mind? I feel like there was some potential for a really cool character arc where the two of them really bond on a personal level, but there's no arc. Venom just changes suddenly and I don't know why. Even Eddie doesn't seem to know why. There's another disappointing character and that's Carlton Drake. Riz Ahmed plays him as this mad scientist type guy who's obsessed with making humans better. At a certain point in the movie, Drake also gets superpowers. Now my problem is that we never see how he is seduced by this power. Him and this other thing are working together with a common goal, but the filmmakers give very little context into their motivations. Michelle Williams is there. She's not bad, but come on, you got a multiple Academy Award nominee. Use her for something. Let's talk about the action. Right after Eddie gets infected, there's a scene where he's running away from the lab. I thought this was shot really well. There's a bit of parkour going on as well. My favorite scene is where Drake's goons try to catch him at his apartment and Venom's tentacles start coming out and beats them up. There's a nice sense of physicality to this scene. You can really feel the punches. These two scenes worked because it's mostly in-camera stunt work. You can see Tom Hardy and the bad guys, and the CGI is used very sparingly. Now, of course, this is not enough to please the fans. They want to see Venom in all his glory. Except when you do see Venom, it's not always so glorious. The design of Venom is fine, but the CGI looks very bad sometimes. It almost looks like a movie from the mid-2000s. The final fight between Venom and the superpowered Drake looks particularly bad. I think the Hulk vs. Abomination fight from 10 years ago looks better than this. There was a nice fight scene where Venom is taking out a SWAT team. This worked because he's hidden behind smoke and he's taking out the soldiers one by one. So, conclusion. I loved how Eddie Brock and Venom can relate to each other. Watching them interact and bond was definitely the highlight of the movie. I didn't care about Eddie in the first act, but he becomes more entertaining to watch when he's forced to deal with the symbiote. Tom Hardy voiced Venom, so good job there. The first 25 minutes are boring filler. They should have cut that out and focused on developing a satisfying character arc for Eddie and Venom. Show how this relationship develops. Show how both of them deal with this insane situation. I really feel like a big chunk of the story is missing here. Riz Ahmed is wasted. He gets his powers and then he becomes almost an afterthought. The action is cool when you don't see Venom. Look, Sony, if you're not gonna put the money, the time or the effort to make the CGI look cool, why do it? This does feel like a mid-2000s superhero movie. The CGI is the obvious culprit. There's also one scene where a scene ended and it cut to a pop song. That's so 2000s, isn't it? I half expected to hear Chad Kroeger or Evanescence start playing a song.
I like Nickelback.
Okay, but you know what? Maybe that could have actually made it more entertaining. If you're gonna go 2000s, then go full on 2000s. So, if you're a fan, you probably wanted something better than this, right? Speaking of fan service, there was a cool shot during the final battle that looked like it was lifted straight out of a comic book. And there's also a cool mid-credits scene setting up for a sequel. Now, that probably made you happy, but is that really enough for you? Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Venom, but even I was disappointed. It's not a terrible movie, but it's not very good either. I liked it, but I can't recommend you watching this on opening weekend. Watch this at home, and if you have some alcohol for almost 2 hours, Venom might fool you into thinking you went back in time to the mid-2000s. So, there you have it. Have you watched Venom yet? If you have, what did you think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget
to like and subscribe.
Oh, come on!
Movie Slinger out.